Welcome, everyone. I'm back to host our 20th episode. I can't believe we've made it. Here we are, ladies. We've made it to 20 episodes. Who would have thought?
Cheer! Confetti! Woo!
Oh, it's remarkable because it's less than 12 months ago that we all met in Paris. Said, hey, let's do a podcast. Asked us to write up the treatment. That's, like in 6 months, 20 episodes with guests from around the world. I wouldn't say that, wow, it's remarkable.
It is remarkable. I'm so impressed with us.
P.S. We only heard the first trailer for Resiliency the Podcast on July 31st of 2024. I think for some reason, we started it immediately after the TEDx, which was in March, but no, not till July. So guys, we've only been doing this for a very short time. And it's just, what a beautiful project to do together. I love you guys.
It's been a blast so far. And we've had so many stories. We've had so many interesting guests, so much resiliency spread.
And
so
merch.
Today, and merch. Let's talk about the merch. It's coming.
Merch.
Ching,
Listen,
ching.
I'm feeling like a director of sales and marketing, so I've got to say we got merch coming. You know what I mean? Merch is going to come. Kelly, doesn't a liquid taste better when it's in a Resiliency the Podcast mug?
Yes. Every time.
And she's Canadian, so she wouldn't lie.
No.
Truthful Canadians. We love them.
So if you're listening and you'd like a Resiliency the Podcast mug, let us know. We're going to make some for you.
All right, so let's get started. I thought today we would have a little bit of fun. We're going to play 20 questions, or as Jen likes to call it, the question game.
My favorite game.
We've had a lot of guests, and we always like to end with the rapid fire questions that Kelly likes to give. And at the end of each of those questions, we ask guests to give questions for future guests. So I thought we would incorporate some of those questions and ask our hosts what their answer would be to those questions. And then I have some other questions I threw in there to just give us a little insight into what we feel we have brought to the resilience game over the past 20 episodes. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Ready.
All right. So I'm going to start with this question. And I'm actually going to start with an answer to this question. And it is, what has been your favorite moment over our past 19 episodes? And I'm going to start off with saying that we have actually recorded, I want to say 22 or 23 episodes. And that is because our very first episode with Daniela Alba, we had to record 3 different times. And I think you guys both remember how many times and how frustrating those first episodes have been. Now, my favorite moment comes from Daniela Alba's first what made her laugh out loud moment.
Yes.
And I see that Dr. Kelly is remembering what that was.
Yes, as does Jen Quater, because you've stolen my answer, by the way. This is the best moment in our Resiliency the Podcast history, and I'm so glad we get to talk about it.
We get to talk about it. It's the best moment in Resiliency the Podcast history that nobody's ever seen.
Yeah,
and
I
it is.
heard it. That's right.
And it is Daniela Alba telling us a story. And now remember, her episode was recorded back in the summer, and she is in Rome, and it was a hot day in Vatican City. And she was walking, and she saw one of the priests walking by, and they're in their full black robes. And he stops in the middle of the walkway, and he kind of just squats down and says, in Italian, "My balls are hot." And I wish I knew what it was in Italian. I wish I knew what "my balls are hot" in Italian. I'm not that worldly.
I'm pretty sure she said it in Italian, which
she
made
did.
it so brilliant. It was just brilliant.
She's like, had to translate. And then she looks and she says, "Are you kidding me?"
There's nothing more resilient than someone who, for real, like, this is a woman, I have to just say it, this is a woman who talks about, like, sexual assault and trauma. Like, she talks about these major things, and then she brings us into this laughter where there's this priest who's like, my balls are hot. I mean, that is comedy gold. Comedy
It
gold.
is comedy gold. It was great. I wish we could have saved that episode. Sigh.
But look, it brought us here, guys.
It did.
Everything we do, we've got to confidently walk in that wrong direction, don't we?
That's right. Exactly. All right, Dr. Kelly, what's your favorite moment over the past 19 episodes?
Well, I don't have one. The thing is, we laugh a lot. And I think one of the key factors for resilience is being able to laugh and share humor. And so I'd have to say what we've just talked about, I just think we move to the next question. Because it's the cherry on the icing on the cake.
You know, she's right. It was totally my answer. I'm like, I can't. Every other moment that I think about, they all move into that communal resilience moment. I will though. Actually, I lie. There's another one. I really loved our episode about composting. I found that really, really interesting because it's so foreign to me. It is not, you know, and I thought the idea and I thought it was really cool that we got like the little kids who had drone the compost and we put that into the episode. I think that resilience, you know, we laughed in an earlier episode that we were recording and we said this isn't a family show because we speak our minds in a clear way. But I like the fact that like we look at the whole person and kids are a part of that world and just so to see that through their eyes, that was another favorite moment for me.
And clarity means we curse.
Yeah, we fucking do.
Resiliency the podcast.
Resiliency
The tagline
podcast.
is
Buy
we
a mug.
curse.
We curse to prove we're human and because it feels so damn good.
All right. So my next question to you both, I'll start with Dr. Kelly. Is there anything you have learned about resilience since starting the podcast?
When I was doing my research on resilience, I discovered that there's 47 different definitions for the term resilience. And this podcast has confirmed that. So it's not necessarily have I learned something new about resilience. It's confirming the fact that resilience means so many things to so many people in so many different ways.
Mm-hmm. Jen, what about you?
What I have learned is that I need more resilience. And that is not a joke. That's not a joke. It's a truth. Mm-hmm. Like I really like it, you know, you come into something like this and you think, hey, I talked about this and I'm a central player in these stories being told. But as I've taken this on, it is a big ask to do this alongside running a company and alongside, you know, building your other life passions, you know, and so you have to be able to, resilience is one thing, prioritization is another. You know what I mean? Like, and they both have to play well together. And so what I've learned through this is that even when you are in the game, you have to be sharpening your game. And so I am constantly learning from our guests, learning from Dr. Kelly, and thinking about my own pants of steel in my daily life. And I continue to face challenges like not knowing if I can do it all. And so I think that has been very humbling and human and real and honest.
Yeah. Resilience is an exercise. You got to keep it up, right? Mm-hmm. You can't, like Jen does yoga regularly. You can take a couple weeks off of yoga, it kind of hurts again.
Start to tighten up.
You start to tighten up, but it's really, I'm glad you brought up that analogy, Asif, because and again, I'll come back to some research. The World Economic Forum talks about building a resiliency muscle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they see it as a muscle because it contracts, it expands. You have to work on it all the time.
Totally makes sense.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Ugh. And muscles are, they're so hard because I myself am a singer and the vocal cord is a muscle, and you don't know that until you rupture one, and then you find out. And one thing that's so interesting about that, and it's such, because their muscles are all ripply and strong. We see muscled people and they're lovely, but muscles are also so tender. You have to be so very tender with them in order for them to heal and to operate well. And so I think that that's another lens that I've learned through resilience. Their grit and strength and all push through, that is only one very small piece of the resilience puzzle. There's a lot of gentleness. There's a lot of yin and yang and balance that exists within this thing we know as resilience.
Absolutely. This is going to run into your answer, Jen, but I'm going to start with you on this one and see if you can elaborate maybe. What have you learned about yourself during the podcast?
That I need to learn how to prioritize. So I should tell our listeners, I tried to quit. I'm just going to tell them. I just get it out there. I tried to quit, and I scared everybody down. I was like, I can't do this anymore. And really what I've learned about that is, what I was saying earlier about the muscle, I think that resilience requires this desire to push yourself. And then there is balance in the fact that sometimes you push yourself too hard. And so what I've learned about myself is that I have a tendency to push myself too hard, and that I can react in a way like, I can't do this anymore. But that if I have a very good, resilient community around me, like a executive producer who I happen to be married to and live with, and a wonderful, brilliant, well-educated Canadian who knows that, if you have good people around you who will help guide you, and you're open and you listen to it, resilience can actually heal you out of that. So what I've learned about myself is that I have lots of improvement to make, and that community is really important in making those improvements.
I'm glad you talked about that story, because I'll fill in the blanks a little bit, folks. It was September, and I was in the UK launching a new company with a business partner. The company's called the Resilience Nexus. It's about 9:00 at night, my time, and I get this call from Jen. I'm done, she says. I can't do this. And we walked through it, and we talked through it, and we had, really good, heartfelt, deep discussions. And, you don't have to be everything to everybody all the time. It's just, how do you, life is in a number of channels. Like your television, you change a channel on the TV. So how do you go back and forth changing the channel? And I think we've learned collectively how to do that with each other and for the podcast.
Absolutely.
Well, and I want to say this too, because I really value that. And I have a dear friend that has told me before. She said, if you're in a room, envision like a big warehouse, and it's completely dark, and you had a very small tea light, and you lit that candle, where would everyone's eyes go? They would go to the very small light. And her point was, you don't have to shine floodlights. You only have to do a small tea light. And I think that's what sometimes my perspective is like, we got to go. We got to do it all. And I think that through some very wise discussions, we can find out that we can continue the mission. We can keep this resilience and see, I'm in on the mission. When I say I was done with the pressure, which a lot of people get done with, the pressure of the schedule and the how to get all this, and show up the way I need to. But the ability to tell these stories, we're just beginning. I mean, it's, and what you're doing, Dr. Kelly, and I wonder if you could talk about it for just a minute, the idea that you are working primarily in the UK, but toward a movement about resilience that goes beyond just individual stories, but looks at the workforce. Can you talk about that a little? Because that's something we can talk about, Asif. Are you cool with that?
Absolutely. It's important.
Kick it. Yeah.
So coming out of, the work that we're doing here in Resiliency, the podcast, this is the fun part of the work for resilience for me. And, a lot of you will know now that I studied resilience. I have a doctorate in it, so I'm a doctor of resilience. And there seems to be a real market for the concept of building resilience in Europe. It's coming slowly to Canada. It'll probably hit the U.S. faster. But what's a strategic resilience framework for a company? How do you create resilience at the level of a board of directors? How do you help CEOs and leaders navigate through the turbulence and the uncertainty? How do you give them those tools? How do you create ways to measure resilience so that you've got a dashboard that shows you trends and indicators, and you can grab those opportunities and not have them fly by you because you were turning around trying to build back after a crisis? So it's looking at that, and there's a really strong market for it in the UK. So a partner and I have come together, and we've created something called the Resilience Nexus. And it's really fun.
Well, it's more than fun. It's so important because, and I'm going to say this gently, but there's a whole world of people in many, many different countries who don't want to work, who aren't driven to work, who don't understand why work will heal their soul, who think that it's they think that it's working for the man, and that and so they don't know where to place their energy. And I think that really at that level, when you're talking about helping CEOs and business leaders, and then that trickles down to every person we talk to here, which we've talked to some CEOs and business leaders, some leaders at Apple who worked with Steve Jobs and Tim Cook, and then we've talked with just the everyday man who just talked to someone who went through a stroke. So everyone has those stories, and I think harnessing this idea that resilience is important in the workplace and in life, and that can be Venn diagrammed is how I would say that.
Yes.
That I think is the message of the 2025 and beyond.
That's right. It's the stone that you throw into the lake or the ocean, and you get the ripple effect. So there's your Venn diagram, the circle and the circle and the circle and the circle. So this is what we're doing, is building community. How do we create healthy workplaces? How do we leverage opportunities? But how do we have a really good, strong, engaged workforce around the world? That then builds resilience, and it helps us with our families, helps us with schools, helps us at home, and helps us at people. So it's like the elevator. What happens on the first floor happens on the 13th floor, and we go up and down the elevator. That's the community that we're building together.
That's right. It helps us juggle work and being podcast hosts and being singers and being corporate animals.
It's true. It's so true.
So let me jump into some questions from our past guests. You guys ready?
Heck
All right.
yeah. I love all those people.
All right, Dr. Kelly, what would be your epitaph?
I've struggled with this because I wanted to keep it light. But when I read it, and what keeps coming back to me, the movie Saving Private Ryan?
Of course.
And the opening scene where the grandfather's in the cemetery looking at his comrades who didn't make it out, and he said, "Have I lived a good life? Was I a good man?" It just gets you right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have, because the things that I do matter. And I can see that the change I've had around the world in the different countries that I've worked in has mattered to people. So I think on a positivity note, and not sounding hopefully too egotistical, it's that everything I've done matters, and it's made a difference.
It's made a difference in my life. I can tell you that right off the bat.
Same here. Absolutely. And many, many others. I wholeheartedly agree with that and uphold that, Dr. Kelly.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I knew you were special from the moment I met you. I remember you walking up to me in that the TEDx rehearsal, and you came up, and after Jen gave her speech, you gave me a big hug and a kiss on the cheek, and I was like, oh, I like Dr. Kelly.
Yep.
She's a special, special lady. We're happy to have her as family.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Jen, what would be your epitaph?
Well, I said this on my episode, and I don't want to change it, which is she had a voice.
Yes.
And that I really don't want to change it. And I think that was for our listeners, who my struggle last year was that I wanted to put out an album, and I did. And that was so exciting and such a cool passion project for me. And because I did that and also was trying to run a company and also was trying to be a host of a podcast, it started to feel like too much. But I think that when I look through the lens of what I have to offer, kind of like you said, Dr. Kelly, you've done things that matter, and you've done it where your heart is. And I think that's what's really important, is you've got to follow your heart. There's something I heard once, and it said, be aware of where you are consistently brought to tears, for that is where God lives in you. And I am, music does it to me in a way. I'm sure it does it to many others, but just for me, I have a very special connection to it. And so I think looking back on my life, I hope that what I am is I like to say that I'm an interpreter. Like when you put an interpreter at the United Nations, they don't have to be like high level they don't have to know the strategy. They just have to interpret what is being said. And I think that that's my role in business, and it's my role in entertainment as a singer, and it's my role here is to just help to interpret. So I hope that she has a voice would be my little epitaph.
Absolutely.
She had a voice.
When you're feeling in need of resilience, what is your go-to food or beverage, Jen?
Chicken and rice.
That's a different answer than what it used to be.
Yeah, it is. So guys, just FYI, when you reach your mid 40s, your digestive system is different than when it was younger. So it used to be pizza. I used to be a big pizza fan, and now I'm a chicken and rice kind of gal. But actually, the truth is, no. When I want to feel resilient, the very best thing that I can put into my body is, I think it's the best thing on earth. I think, honestly, it's probably a gift from the universe, and that is cracking open a bottle of IBC root beer. Guys, there's nothing like IBC root beer to make your life happy. I'm just going to be honest.
And just for clarity, we are not getting any money from IBC.
No, we give them
This
all
is not
our
marketing.
Money.
The only thing we're marketing is Resiliency the Podcast.
And
Not root beer from anybody.
No, but I'll tell you, it's delicious. It's a
I
bottle
did
of
not
happy.
expect that.
Dr. Kelly, is it,
Respect that.
what is it for you?
man.
Poutine?
No. Forget that. In fact,
Poutine's delicious. Hold on.
Oh, it's horrible.
What?
It's horrible.
Curds.
I love
and whey.
poutine. It's delicious. Poutine
No.
it in my mouth.
Gravy, cheese curds, and French fries.
And where do you go wrong with that trio?
Well, cholesterol.
Oh, she's trying to be wise about her food.
Okay.
No.
okay.
So,
All right, let's hear this
okay.
resilient choice.
So it's a toss up. So rather than food, you know what works best for me? Getting outside in the fresh air and going for a walk. Every single time, even if it's raining or snowing, that's what I have to do. My favorite beverage is water, cold water, followed very closely by red wine, but cold water.
Jesus'
it's-
beverage.
Yeah, it's just, it's the air. But, food, if I had to choose food, then it's my time in Mauritius, which is this eclectic palette of French cuisine, high-level French cuisine, Chinese, and Indian, African is brilliant, but or jerk chicken barbecue in Antigua on a Friday.
That sounds very resilient to me. That sounds
With
like
an
what I want to
IBC
do
root
on
beer.
Friday.
With an
With
IBC
an
root
IBC
beer.
root beer. Yeah.
Because it's only
Wait,
on
can we go back to the
Fridays.
red wine? Red wine sounds
yeah, there you
fantastic.
go. There you go.
Though I don't know if a jerk chicken if red wine's the best thing, but
It is.
That's what
Trust
the
me.
root beer would work better
Oh,
with
yes.
the
No.
jerk.
Red wine works really well. It cuts through the
Okay.
spice. Works fine.
Okay.
Good
Trust
to
me.
know. All right.
okay.
I know.
Maybe a little like a
Trust me.
dark,
Trust
maybe
her. She's a doctor.
a Syrah or something. Okay.
She knows what she's
Okay.
doing.
Kelly, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Can I reframe the question? Because through
It's your
all
podcast.
Okay, so through all the things that we go through in life, and I say we as opposed to me, I'll make it we because all of us collectively have gone through a lot of things in life. I find you've got to be grown up for so long You know, when you're a kid, all you want to do is grow up because you want to be like the adults. You want to be able to do all those things. What do I want to do? I want to find time to stop being grown up. That's what I want.
Good answer.
I like it.
Oh, that's a good answer. Dang, Boo. That's like a Walt Disney answer.
Yeah, that's
Dr.
what I
Kelly
want.
just dropping bombs today. I mean, really, like, that's really good. Damn.
Yeah.
Well, Jen, do
20th
you want to be a
episode.
kid when you grow up?
But not after what Dr. Kelly just said. No. Sheesh.
Oh dear.
No,
I want to be a
have
kid when
have
I grow up.
I have a canned answer for this, but it's the truth, and it's something that I. So I want to be an old lady actress. That is my dream, and I learned this because my company. We represent commercial real estate and finance like companies. And so I had we were working with a developer and they build these apartment communities and they build arts focused apartment communities. And several of them are for seniors. And so I was going to do these stories and I'm meeting these seniors who are all like doing commercials and working in things. And I'm thinking, now, man, that sounds fun. And so the other thing that I am is I'm very, I'm like anti-beauty. Like I really like wrinkles. I think wrinkles are cool. And like, I like that I'm getting them here and they're coming. And so for me, what I want to be when I grow up is a wrinkled old lady actress.
I love it.
But I've had lots of people tell me that I can say that now. And in fact, I was at a conference recently and I told this woman this and she said, yeah, I'm going to set a reminder for about 8 years from now. I'm going to check with you and see if you still have that.
Yep.
Okay, Jen, if resilience is your superpower, what does your superhero outfit look like?
A fully sequined gown sliced up the leg. It is full sequin. It is shine. And it is cut and tailored and it is polished and it's bright.
Dr. Kelly,
Red dress and red shoes.
Woo!
stilettos?
We're going out on the town.
No, they're too tall now. It's not stilettos. A pair of good pumps, court shoes, but red dress, red shoes. That's it.
Asif, what are you wearing on our night out? If I'm in my full sequin gown and
Yeah.
she's in her red dress, red shoes.
What are you wearing?
What's your
What about
resilience outfit?
Oh, dear Lord.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I bet you'll have a
probably-
collar on. Listeners,
You know you
For
will.
listeners
You know
who
you
want to know
will.
this, I got yelled at by somebody on the show. You'll
Wasn't me.
notice
It wasn't
in some
his wife.
episodes where I was wearing a black T-shirt because I thought I was going to do like a Steve Jobs sort of look, try to be relaxed but professional, and I was told I was not professional enough, and I need to put a
not
collar
for
on.
Canada.
Not for Canada.
Not for a global doctor
No,
of resilience who happens
no, I-
to hail from Canada.
So my resilient outfit, I don't know. I mean, are we talking a night out, a resilient night out? Then, I'm probably wearing a nice sport coat, a nice well-cut suit, some shoes that are fancy looking, gold and black looking shoes, nice watch, a trimmed beard, and just trying to look my best, I suppose. Trying not to take attention away from my two hostesses with the mostesses, but not embarrass them at the same time. So
A valiant effort.
thank you. It's hard. It's hard to sit where I'm sitting right now.
No one feels sorry for Asif. I'm sorry. That's not, nope, that doesn't play.
Just trying to find resilience. That's all I'm trying to do here. Okay. What is your mantra to get through the day, Kelly?
Capital I, period. Capital AM, period. I am.
Elaborate.
You can fill in the blank at the end of whatever it is. So it's just like, yes, I am this. I am doing this. I am making this. I am persevering through this.
I love that.
I like it because there's like and we talked about this in one of our episodes, I think with Mary Elizabeth, like Eckhart Tolle and the value of being present and the now. And I like that when you say I am, you are in this moment. I am drinking this tea out of my Resiliency the Podcast mug. I am, like I. It's really fun.
Shameless.
It's getting to that point, yes.
Director of Sales and Marketing, folks. No, I really like that. I am, because that puts you right in it puts you in the action instead of like being around it and all the thought around it. Mm-hmm. Mine is, it's not what you do, it's who you are. So it's not what you do, it's who you are. And that I can elaborate by just saying, we spend a lot of time, I spend a lot of time, but I think everybody spends a lot of time trying to be what we need to be, trying to be the professional we need to be and be the boss we want to be and be maybe the parent we want to be or the sister we want to be and all those things. And I can get lost in the attempt, in the effort, in the over effort, if you will. And so I think if I can remind myself, it's not about what I do, it's about who I am. And that allows me to just be who I am whenever I show up. I'll tell you this quick story because I think everybody lives in the world we're in. And I always like to tie back to Dr. Kelly's TEDx talk where she talks about the pings and pops and how we get I think there's a stat in there, we get 3,000 notifications a day or something. Mm-hmm. And I was having this problem where people would text me and I was like, man, I don't know how to get back to them. I don't know what to do. And I was working with a therapist to work through. And her advice to me was, just be who you are whenever you do show up. And that helped tremendously because what it meant was if I got a text from, let's say, my sister and I thought I should answer right then, but I wasn't feeling right about it, I could wait and I could just wait until I was who I really am, until I could actually honestly answer it. So that's helped to guide me a lot.
I think that's really, really wise, Jen, is be who you are, because then you also are consistent. You're consistent.
Yeah, that makes sense because when you are in I hadn't thought about that, man. Because when you're in the other, when you are reacting to everything else and you're just in what you're going to do, then sometimes I'm going to be in this mode, sometimes I'm going to be in this mode. But when I'm always set in, kind of like yours, I am in this moment, and owning that I think is important to resilience.
I went through a bunch of questions. I'm trying to figure out where I want to go next with this one. Describe to me what your life looks like in 10 years, Dr. Kelly.
No.
What? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not allowed. I cannot believe the audacity. The audacity.
Oh, man. So, my life in 10 years' time, elements of my life in 10 years' time. Let's see. I love what I do. And I get great satisfaction out of what I do and all the places I get to go. So I have no intention of retiring. So in 10 years' time, Dr. Kelly's not retired. She's still doing all of these funky, cool things all around the world that she likes to do, and she's having fun and making an impact in people's lives and building this resilience community through a number of different channels. She will have gotten her act together and figured out where she wants to settle down, because all of her stuff is still in storage. It's coming up almost 4 years in August. So does she build her house in Canada? Has she got some sort of home in North America? What does London look like? Because that's where the business is. Paris is for pleasure. She's got her act together on that, because right now she doesn't.
A citizen of the world, Kelly.
But she's getting tired of that. And then, thirdly, the thing is that she's ready to date. So
You heard it here first.
That's right. We're selling mugs and Dr. Kelly on Resiliency The Podcast.
Oh, this is so exciting.
10 years from now, there's a guy who's got the courage to be with you.
Courage.
Oh, yeah.
Courage. It's a brave man.
yeah,
It's a brave man. It's a
well,
strong
it is
man.
because he's got to go through Asif and Jen. Like he's got a whole you've got a whole entourage that he's got to prove himself to.
I know. So, yeah, that's what my life looks like 10 years from now. How's that? Okay?
I think that's brilliant. I love it.
Applause.
Applause.
Oh, man.
A
Well
plus
done.
applause.
Thank you.
Jen?
I love it, Kelly. So that is my favorite question of all time, and that's why when you said no, it cracked me up because I love that question. It's my very favorite. In 10 years' time, I too will not be retired. I don't see myself as a retirement kind of gal. In 10 years' time, I'm still going to be doing what I'm doing also and making an impact. I would like to be actively doing both of my passions. So I have passion in the corporate world and I have passion in artistry. And I think that I'm already doing it. And I think that in 10 years, I'm going to feel like I'm doing it. You know what I mean? Like when you first start something, it still feels quite new. But I think I will be kind of a more fully realized person who's able to share that. And then from that, in 10 years, I think I'll see the impact of that. And again, there's this lovely catch-22 that as an artist, and I also think as a business person, you have to know what the result is you're going for, but then you have to not really pursue the exact result. Meaning, I can't pursue having a big audience or having a bunch of partnerships or things like that. But what I know is that in 10 years, the impact of this resilience movement will be felt, and I will see that it has helped people for the better. And I think in whatever way that is, that's what I see. And then I also, just in the pragmatic way, like I want to own my house fully. So we, like everybody else, took out a mortgage and then we refied that mortgage. But I want to see what happens when you actually get that thing paid off. So I think in 10 years, I'd like to see if I could get this whole thing, just own this little spot of land that's mine. That's kind of that's my little 10-year plan. And have a third dog.
Look at, if you're just listening to us, folks, you can't see the look on Asif's face when she said third dog. It's like, oh, Mother of God, save me.
Right. Yeah. So we have two dogs that I'm surprised aren't barking their heads off right now.
Yeah. If they knew what mommy was plotting, they would be.
They would not be happy about it.
Asif, where do you see yourself in 10 years? What is your life like in 10 years?
Not a third dog. In 10 years, hopefully someone's listening to this in 10 years from now, and we're doing our 500th episode celebration. And they're listening to the 20th episode saying, wow, these guys were idiots. They had no idea what they were going to do in 10 years. No, I can barely think what's going to happen next week. 10 years from now, I hope we have our house paid off. I hope Kelly has a great man on her arm. Yes. I hope that all our companies are doing well. I hope we have Jen is a multi-platinum singing artist.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
I hope we are. This is going to come out the way I want it to, but I hope people realize that resilience in this world is a necessity, and that we have played a part in that in their lives. Yeah, not a great answer, but I'm riding
perfect.
the coattails of your two.
No,
That was a good
it's
answer.
Absolutely perfect. It was a good answer, a really good answer, because you wrapped everything together, Asif. It was really good.
Wrapping it up a little bit, what is one question you would like to leave a future guest, Dr. Kelly?
I'd like to leave, and it's around the question of resilience. And so to get people to help people visualize in their mind what resilience is to them. So if you're thinking about resilience, what does it feel like? What does it smell like? And what does it taste like?
Interesting.
Because we use all our senses to experience life, but we forget those.
I'm writing these down so I can keep them. So if there are pause, it's because I'm writing. Not that the pause won't be edited out. Jen, question for a future guest.
I'm going to be honest and say that mine comes from another source, which is to say that I love the question game, and I've played it with friends for a long time. And this question came up in one of those books you find at Barnes & Noble that has all the questions to ask of relationships. But I really love this one. And it is, what would you do if you had no fear? What would you do if you had no fear? I had a friend once who said, I would wear sleeveless shirts. And I thought, what a great answer. Great answer. Solid answer.
Nice. All right. I'm going to ask one more question for you guys. And it is, what do you see for Resiliency the Podcast over 2025 and beyond? Jen?
I see us continuing to evolve in a way that feels understandable, like we are a known, like we're a family member growing with you. You know what I mean? Like I see the storytelling evolving. I see our connection evolving, and so I think that like a good series, it's going to keep going. But I think it's always going to feel a little bit like chicken soup. You know, like it'll always be what you know it is, which is going to be those stories of inspiration and finding people from different walks of life. I think that there's a lot to be said for diversity. There's a lot to be said for global diversity. And so I think that as 2025 continues and beyond, what Resiliency the Podcast is going to do is keep the conversation alive among all sorts of people, and then be a home to our listeners for a place where they can come and get that inspiration in a consistent way.
Absolutely. And I think we've talked about this, I think all of us together at one point. We've had people from all over the place tell us we should concentrate on this, or we should concentrate on that, or you should have this guest, or they try to put us into a box of what they think resilience is. And I think all of us realize that resilience is not one thing or another thing. As Dr. Kelly said at the beginning of this episode, there are 47 different definitions for resilience, and we're not going to placate to one or another. We want to focus on humanity, and humanity is all of us together. Once again, coming back to the community of resilience, that's what we want to focus on. We want to focus on all of us because we're all in this together. Dr. Kelly?
No, that's exactly my wish as well. You know, talk about what do we want to do for 2025? It's continuing to build the community, continuing to build the movement, continuing to have traction in this space so that we supply people with information, sources, toolkit. As Jen, as you said, it's the family member that you come to and listen to when you need some good advice. This is where you're coming. We're not self-help therapists in any way, but we're building the resilience community. And there's so many insights that you can come here and you can listen to and you can change. So I think it's, when I hear both of you speak, you know, I'm aligned with that vision as well. And I think it's a brilliant masterstroke.
Masterstroke.
A masterstroke. I like it. I want to say this on the topic of the kind of self-help and all that stuff, because I agree there's a whole genre of that. I I was editing my LinkedIn profile, which I will recommend to any and all business professionals. It's January. If you haven't looked, give it a little look. But I was editing my LinkedIn profile and doing a couple updates. And what I wrote was a truth, but I think it's important as we look through the lens of 2025 and why we're doing this. Why is this important for people to come to? And what I wrote was, mentorship and inspiration are important to me. And that's really what this is. This is mentorship, whether Dr. Kelly is mentoring me or I'm mentoring someone or Mike Anderson, the media mogul, is mentoring us. Like, there is mentorship being shared through these conversations, like on all levels. And then this is a source of inspiration. There's no doubt. And so I think as I look at that, that's where we fall. We are a community of mentorship and inspiration across business, across personal, across lives.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our 20th episode. We've made it, guys.
Woo!
We did it. Here's to 20 more. Please continue to follow us. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button, like us on there. If you're listening to us on a podcast platform, please like us, please subscribe to us on there. It helps us, helps the movement, helps us keep sharing resiliency. You can find us at resiliencythepodcast.com. You can find us at Resiliency the Podcast on all the socials. If you're looking for Jen Quater, you can find her at Jen Quater on all the socials. You can find her at jenquater.com, and you can follow her company at thesmartagency.com. You can find Dr. Kelly at theculvergroup.ca. That's CA because she is the princess of our 51st state.
No. Have you seen the map of Greater Canada lately?
Greater Canada!
We have seen it because you shared it with us, and I love it. It's pretty funny. It's pretty hilarious.
Brilliant.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. We wish you all the best. Here's to 20 more episodes. Go out, have fun, be strong, stay safe, be resilient, be happy, be healthy. Go help someone. There's a lot of people in need of help right now. Show them how resilient they can be. We love you. Thank you so much. See you next time.